Good morning. Happy Monday. It's good to see all of you here. In the chat, let me know, did you watch the game last night? Let me know who you were rooting for. I was back and forth. I always like to root for the underdog, so I was just constantly rooting for whoever was down. But I've got 5 business lessons from watching the Super Bowl last night, and I thought that I would share them with you because life is a lot like business. A football game like that is a lot like business. And there were 5 takeaways that I got from watching the game last night. And I wanted to share them with you because I think they'll be really relatable. Lexi says she was rooting for Taylor's boyfriend. I said that a lot last night too. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Tracy. Hi, Sarah. Good morning, Sam. Hey, Antoinette. Good to see you here. Good morning, Andrea. Hi, Rebecca. Good morning, everybody. So I stayed up, a little late from the game last night, as probably a lot of you did, especially if you were over on the West Coast last night. Let's talk about it today because I'm going to share these 5 things that I really took away from watching the Super Bowl. And, I'm not a super sporty person. Like I go to sports because my kids play them. That's pretty much it. So wasn't highly invested in the game last night, but I enjoyed watching it and just seeing the dynamics of being on that big of a stage in front of that many people. When I think about the enormity of being in that situation and how young a lot of those guys are, it feels really, really big. So let's start with number 1. And I'm going to help you if you're not a football fan. If you did not watch the game, I've got a few pictures so that you can relive the moment with me. Let me pull them up real quick. Good morning, everybody. So here's lesson number 1. So this is Brock Purdy, okay? Brock is the quarterback for the 49ers. And lesson number 1 that I got from last night was let them underestimate you. So that is lesson number 1. So do you know that Brock was picked in the very last round of the NFL draft? And he is on the biggest stage in NFL league last night playing for the Super Bowl championship. And I thought it was so telling to people in our lives that underestimate our ability to start a business or create something out of this or really to make a living by that. How many people in the chat have people in their life that really underestimate that they can be a business owner? Because I think that we're going to face that. If you haven't already faced that, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your parents, maybe it's your siblings, maybe it's your best friends. But people will say, oh, your little business or, oh, your little hobby that you have. People can really underestimate you. And that didn't stop him from showing up on the largest stage possible, being under that intense amount of pressure and really performing. Do you know that he is the lowest paid quarterback in the league? The man that played in the Super Bowl last night was the lowest paid quarterback in the league. And he didn't stop him. It didn't make him feel less than. He didn't come out there and give less effort because he was the lowest paid quarterback. He came out there and he showed up. And he showed up for his team and he showed up for himself. And he gave it everything that he had, even though he was underestimated. He was picked last. And I think that's a true testament to his character. And I think that a lot of us face that as business owners. And we need to remember that people will underestimate us. But if we show up the way that Brock did last night at the Super Bowl, like this is our Super Bowl. Launching is our Super Bowl. Fourth quarter is our Super Bowl. If we can show up knowing that people in our life probably underestimated our abilities or our talents or our intelligence and just keep pushing through that, that's the oomph that we need as small business owners. So that was lesson number 1 with Brock Purdy. Lesson number 2, when you're down, fight harder. Don't give up. The Kansas City Chiefs were down for most of the ball game last night. They were down. They were making mistakes. You could see the defeat in their eyes going into halftime. But they did not give up. And I know as small business owners that we can feel that feeling maybe more often than not. We can feel that we're down. Our sales can be down. Our subscriber count can be down. Our building our audience, won't grow as much as we think it should grow in a certain period of time. And so we can feel down like the Chiefs did going into the half. But that's when we have to push through. That's when we have to push harder. That's when we have to give it everything we got. We can't give up in that moment. And we see across the board that over 50% of small businesses fail within their first year because it doesn't always land in the first year. We don't always make money in our first year. I can remember when I started my business that I didn't give myself a paycheck for over 9 months. And in that 9 months, I could have given myself every reason to give up, every reason to stop and go get a job, every reason to not pursue this crazy thing that I had in my mind. And I think that when the Chiefs were down last night, they could have had every reason to just leave it. But they kept fighting. They kept coming back. They kept making small little wins that gave them momentum. And that overtook the game in the end. And so I want you to remember that when you're down, you got to fight like hell and you can't give up. Because if we give up, we're done. It's harder to come back when you've given up than if you'll just stay the course and push through the hard stuff. Okay, so that's lesson number 2. Lesson number 3 came from my man Usher last night. Let me know in the chat who enjoyed the halftime show. I was looking forward to it all night. I could not wait for it. I love me some Usher. I graduated high school in 96, so it was in the Usher era. But number 3, the lesson that I got from this was consistency creates longevity. Okay, when I look back at Usher's career, like I graduated high school in 96, so now I'm just aging myself here. But you think about the time, we're talking about 30 years, okay? We're talking about 30 years of him being consistent. His first album came out in 1994. He has produced 12 studio albums since that time. There's really over 40 albums that he's produced from his greatest hits and lives and different things like that. But he's produced 12 studio albums since 1994. He's showing up consistently. Every 2 to 3 years, he's dropping a new album. Do you know that he's performed at 677 concerts since his first album dropped? That is him making himself relevant, making himself visible, and putting himself out there, showing up for him, showing up for the fans. And that consistency has created his longevity in his career. How many artists do we know that are a one-hit wonder or have one album that has a couple singles on it that's really great? Like that consistency in his music career has created longevity in an industry that you don't see that very much. It's the same for us. We have to build that consistency. And if we can build the consistency into our business, we are going to build longevity for our businesses. The person that's maybe not as good at being a business owner, maybe just not as great, but shows up consistently every day, every week, every month, and does the things that they're supposed to do in their business versus the business guru that maybe shows up a couple times a month, very inconsistently. The person that shows up consistently is going to outperform the guru every single time. You don't have to be the best at everything. You just have to be consistent in what you do. And that's going to make a difference. And my team says, and he did it on roller skates. And we already know how old he is because I just shared my age with you. And he did it on roller skates. Can we just talk about that? How many of you feel like you're skating through your daily life every day, wondering if you're going to fall on your butt? Like every single day. We do that in our businesses. We don't know if things are going to work. We don't know if this product's going to land. We don't know if this box is going to be a winner. We don't know if our launch is going to be successful. We're just waiting for the ball to drop. But we have to keep that consistency, okay? Now, I saw a comment, and it's going to go into number 4 lesson, Okay. So I saw Chris say, sorry, not a fan. That's okay. Not a fan. Number 4, you're not for everyone. I loved the halftime show. I thought it was the most amazing halftime show ever in the history of the Super Bowl because I am an Usher super fan. Okay. But when I got on social media after the halftime show, I saw a lot of mixed reviews. People hated it. People loved it. There was all kinds of mixed reviews. And I kept thinking, how did people not love that? That was amazing. I knew every word to every song. I was dancing on the couch. Like I loved it. It was amazing. But then I remembered, we're not for everyone. I loved it because I love Usher. But people that don't feel the same way about Usher that wasn't their thing. They didn't relate to that. They couldn't sing every word to every song. They weren't hyped up when Ludacris came out. They didn't understand the power of Alicia Keys' voice in that moment. Like, you can't please everyone. Usher, even being Usher, could not please everyone last night. And we have to remember that in our businesses. We're not for everyone. So what we need to do is show up for the people that love us, show up for the people that are our raving fans, do the things that our raving fans are going to love. That's our subscribers. That's our subscribers. We have to show up for them and stop worrying about the naysayers. Stop worrying about someone that didn't love it. Stop worrying about the people that don't like what you do, because we're not for everyone. Even Usher was not for everyone last night. And we have to remember that in our businesses. That's lesson number 4. Number 5. I got a picture for you on this one in case you didn't watch the game. I got a picture for you. Don't let anyone take you out of your character. So this was a frustrated Travis Kelce screaming mad at his coach. Temper tantrum basically was happening right here. And it was right at halftime. And when I saw that, I thought, man, kudos to the coach, because he didn't let it faze him. He's at the biggest game of the year right there. And he's not going to let Travis Kelce take him out of his character. And we get faced with internet bullies all the time. We get faced with someone that has something negative to say. We get faced with an unhappy customer, an unhappy subscriber, or someone that's just tacky, okay? And so we have to remember that we have to walk away from that and not let someone take us out of our character, not get nasty back in the comments on our social media posts, not reply to that very untactful email that someone sent. I had someone send me a very uncouth email last week, and I let it bother me. And I know it shouldn't. And I tell you all the time, don't let crap like that bother you, because it's one person. It's one person, and we don't want to let anyone take us out of our character. And that was proof right there. It wasn't about Travis Kelce. It was about the coach that stood there with grace and purpose, and he had a bigger thing to do. That's what we do. We have a bigger thing to do. He's out there to win the Super Bowl, not to argue with Travis Kelce. We're out here to run our businesses, not to argue with an internet bully or someone that says they hate your things. We have so many people that love us and love what we do, and that's what we should focus on. And don't let people take you out of your character. So those were my 5 lessons from watching the Super Bowl. I also have one question that I really need to know. If you had a favorite commercial last night, did you have a favorite commercial? Because I had a couple. I loved the Dunkin' Donuts commercial with J-Lo and Ben and all that great cast of characters that was on. It was funny. It was stupid, but I loved it. I also loved the pickleball commercial with E-Trade. That was a really funny commercial. I was not a fan of all the Temu commercials, and I kept thinking, man, they paid a lot of money, because there was a lot of Temu commercials last night. But these are my 5 lessons. I hope you, if you watched the Super Bowl, I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't watch it, I hope that you can take these lessons with you and just apply them to your business. We see life lessons every day in our everyday life. You can apply them to business. You're just gonna be that much further ahead. So number 1, don't let them underestimate you. If someone in your life is underestimating your ability to create a profitable business, you prove them wrong. Number 2, when you're down, you fight harder. You don't give up. So all of us are going to have seasons in our business that we are down in any different way. We got to fight through that. Okay. Number 3, consistency creates longevity. We're here for long, sustainable businesses. We're not here to get rich quick and walk away. We're here for longevity. You've got to be consistent. Number 4, you're not for everyone. Remember that. Not everybody loved Usher last night. He's not for everyone. All right. Love on your people that love you. And number 5, don't let anyone take you out of your character. No matter what happens in the heat of the moment, be who you are, stay focused, stay strong, and let's fight through all the hard things. You guys have a great rest of your week. I'll be back inside Launch Your Box this week with some lives. So I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.